Hi everyone, and welcome to today's character file, Aeleus and Dilan. Briefly, I will describe why Aeleus and Dilan are still relevant, and what I expect from their upcoming story arcs. Let's dive right in. First and foremost, it bears mentioning that Aeleus and Dilan did not have voice lines in Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, for Aeleus, that actually made a lot of sense because he's silent, he just doesn't speak. So why waste the time while hiring a voice actor and giving lines to somebody who barely speaks anyways? Alternatively, Dilan was incapacitated for most of Kingdom Hearts 3, so it didn't make sense to hire a voice actor for him either. For this next part, due to the lack of voice acted lines in Kingdom Hearts 3, I'll be doing a reading of each of Dilan and Aeleus' character files from the Kingdom Hearts 3 Ultimania, just so that we can get a sense of what they're thinking and what's going on in their hearts at this time. People love this garden, where water, the source of all life, springs forth, and fragrant flowers bloom all over. Tending to these flowers was part of our daily routine as guards. Gazing at the flowers, I remember the red rose I tried to take during my time as a nobody. That rose was a symbol of love, but it was also cursed. After all, love is but a curse. At the time, I thought its power was trivial. Someone once asked me about love. This was before the rose. That rose was cursed, and thus so too was the beast. At the time, so was I, in a way, and I suspect that is why I was extinguished. Thoughts of Kingdom Hearts kept my heart lingering in a purgatory, until it finally moved on to erasure. In short, a curse, and thus are strong, overbearing feelings like love also a curse. A fragrant flower in my boorish hands. By nature these hands know only the way to balance, but a flower is blooming in them all the same. I will not put it in a glass case. This flower will bloom right where it is. Why didn't we choose to leave things as they were? All I can do now is regret having gone too far. Now, for love, we'll leave things be. I still have a vague awareness of somewhere. I don't understand it, but after I was defeated at Castle Oblivion, I lingered somewhere. I had intended to control the darkness, but I think I was the one controlled. I conceded defeat after I fought with Riku, and I was extinguished. Perhaps, even more than wanting my heart, I was allured by the darkness. Unlike Evan and Dilan, who were unstable after I awoke, I was fully conscious and had time to think clearly. And I kept thinking about it even now, although it's still hazy. What was that darkness? I feel like I still want the power that Riku had for myself. I had intended to take control of it, but instead, I was defeated and erased. In the end, Riku used the darkness I urged him to command, so he did not fall into our grasp. If I'd had that strength for myself, maybe none of this would have ever happened. This world is beautiful and tranquil. It is the world that I wished for. But there may have been tranquility in the darkness too. Even now, I am seized by these thoughts. Perhaps I am not qualified to be an apprentice. Now, I'm going to come right out and say it. Dilan is Sigurd. There are 3 things to note about Sigurd: his name, his appearance, and his employer. A quick search of the name Sigurd provides us with immediate insight into who is hiding under the hood. Sigurd's face is darkened as to not reveal who it is. Obviously, this is because he looks like a character we've already seen. Sigurd's name comes from the Norse legend of Sigurd, or more familiar, Siegfried. Siegfried is well known for being a dragon slayer. A dragon slayer, according to Final Fantasy, is a dragoon. His hat resembles a cloth-style dragoon helmet without being overtly obvious about it. This allows for a degree of misdirection. This misdirection comes in play at the last piece of information, that Sigurd answers to a superior. Of course, the character Luke Sword explicitly states this, but the same can be true of other characters, especially Dilan and Aeleus. With the knowledge that Sigurd is Dilan, we can now make an assessment about Aeleus, and I promise this assessment will back up the first. As Lexius, Aeleus was entitled the Silent Hero. For me, when reading his stele in the Proof of Existence, made me back up and reconsider something. Why was his title hero if he was one of the bad guys? To answer that question, we would have to go back to a history not yet available to us, a history like Scala ad Caelum. We know that Scala ad Caelum is full of Norse figures, and if my assessment that Sigurd is Dilan is correct, we can then assume that Aeleus has a Norse counterpart as well. After a bit of research, the matching conclusion quickly revealed itself: the Norse god Vidar. He was the physically strongest of all, rivaling even Thor. He was responsible for ending the events of Ragnarok by delivering the final blow to Fenrir. Speaking the name Vidar out loud a few times, I noted another character whose name derived from Vidar. Final Fantasy XIV's monk storyline features a character named Vidageld. He possesses the same exact strong silent type character disposition as Aeleus. Vidageld was one of the few, if not sole, survivors of the Alamican king Theodric's purge upon the monks, who had grown strong as a military force. As it happens, he was also the king's son. He works closely with a condescending scientist named Eric to unlock the mysteries of chakra. Ironically, Eric bears a similar disposition to Evan. Let's go ahead and connect just a few more dots here. Like Ienzo, Dilan and Aeleus took a back seat that has prevented many speculators from seeing through the facade. Forgetting the importance of their characters, many would be more willing to speculate around characters who received more prominent recognition during Kingdom Hearts 3. For those of you who have watched my Master of Masters presentation, I have theorized that Ienzo is in some way the Master of Masters. Aeleus and Dilan are like Riku and Sora, or Terra and Ventus. They represent Earth and Wind, respectively. It is no wonder why Aeleus harbors strong feelings of power and darkness, while Dilan thinks of love and the capital of light. With Demyx's association with water, There is a possibility that Sigurd, Vidar, and Demyx's somebody, for now I speculate the name Melody, have a relationship like Sora, Riku, and Kairi. It's worth noting that Zexion was the only organization member that Lexaeus trusted. Perhaps Ienzo and Aeleus are closer than we know. Backed up by the Eden theory, the end of Ragnarok will show a rebirthed world. Luciu has sent Ava to the future to be the Eve to his Adam, or his Lif to Lifrathsir. The hearts of children will be born to this world, who will rebuild under the care of Luciu and Ava, creating a paradise of light, radiant garden. Ansem, Evan, Brage, Dilan, and Aeleus are these children. To clarify that last statement, you may think it a contradiction that Brage and Luciu are existing as two separate people in Radiant Garden. However, there is good evidence to prove that Luciu did not possess Brage until after fighting Terra. I refer you to the Secret Reports video about Brage's recompletion. As always, thank you for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. You can also help me out if you leave some comments in the section below and tell me what you think. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. You can also follow me on Twitter at @tgummyphone. Thanks. I'll see you next time, guys.